Val. Thanks for joining me this morning.
Pleasure, Adrian.
I've got a few questions for you today about product collaboration.
Talk to me.
First one is, what's the ugly side of poor product collaboration?
Okay, interesting question. So in everything, there's good and bad, but when we focus on the ugly side, I tend to think it comes in three areas. One is the obvious people impact. From a people side of things, you tend to get people who are demotivated, team cohesion suffers, and then more importantly, there's a whole bunch of confusion. Then when we look at the overall digital side and the digital collaboration pieces, in technology companies, we tend to have lots and lots of channels for people to communicate. So then that's the over collaboration.
Yep.
And developers and product managers don't know whether to follow Slack or Teams or email or actually their daily stand-up or attend a meeting. So they're two elements. Then there's the other side, which is all about the bottom line impact. And when you've got poor team morale, that ends up usually being in team members wanting to go elsewhere due to the constant changing environment. So that's a bottom line impact. Then there's a further bottom line impact where you sometimes don't end up releasing the feature in accordance with what the customer really wanted. So it ends up in wastage and rework and a whole bunch of resource
Sad people.
Sad people that want to go somewhere else where there isn't that consistent poor collaboration. And I think, but last but definitely not least, the end customer suffers. And that end customer doesn't get the feature that they wanted to complete the experience or the action or the interaction that they needed to have. And if you're actually working on a larger program of work, it ends up again going into pivoting or refocusing. And that ends up again, sad customers, sad people, and sad business strategy.
Yes. And also, lastly, potentially no business.
That too.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, no one wants to be in that space.
No. But what are the good sides? What are the great ingredients you require for good collaboration in the product teams?
I think great ingredients for me, when I reflect on, teams that have been fantastic and that have worked and that have been humming, it's communication. In addition to that, I think it's about removing the I and it all being about we.
Yep.
And then last but definitely not least, having a clear North Star. Where are we going as a team? Where's our company going? And more importantly, what are the things that we need to solve for our end customers?
And it sounds so easy when we talk about it, like collaboration and communication. What makes it so hard?
I think it's the human element where you introduce different personalities, you introduce different expectations, and then to that you also introduce the normality of day-to-day living. So we all know we bring an element of ourselves to work. We all have lives outside of work. And then people just need to find that common ground on what's going to work for me isn't necessarily going to work for you. So how do I understand what's going to work for you, and then vice versa? So when we're working on something together, we can bring that to life. I think it's not just about thinking about the working together or delivering a piece. It's actually about also forming that relationship that takes it to the next level. So what is it that's going to move my dial versus your dial? And then how do we bring this all to life?
Absolutely. So you talk a lot about bringing it to life. How do you do that on a day-to-day basis?
I think for me, and working across the multiple industries and working across multiple teams, whether it's in technology, whether it's in banking and finance, or whether it's for an ecotech startup, it's all about how do we actually connect? What are our interactions? And above all of that, I think people want some structure on how they can collaborate. It seems kind of weird.
I know. It seems so simple.
It's about, hang on, what is that structure? So the things that we tend to bring to life is that daily stand-up in this agile environment, or whether it's even a waterfall space. It's about, when are we catching up? On a daily basis, we talk about, what is it that I'm looking to do? What is it that I've done? What are my roadblocks? But during that daily stand-up, one of the most powerful things that I feel brought to life and that made the team bring this element of trust in the collaboration was also sharing what's going on from a strategic side of things. What are the big rocks that we need to take through to the next level, and how are the individual team members contributing? Then it's about taking that to the next level. And when we solve, whether it's a customer problem or whether it's an internal problem, it's about solving that together.
Yeah.
And really unpacking that together. And it doesn't always have to be the product manager that comes to life with how we solve this. It's about the team coming to life. And one thing that I was very instrumental, and I know it doesn't align with the purest of agilists,
That's okay.
which is all about
Practical.
you've got these ceremonies that you adhere to, but sometimes they're not fit for purpose. So what we've done is I've brought to life this thing called the feature unpack or the business unpack.
Yeah.
Let's get together and let's unpack. So the product manager, product owner gets together. They draft up their user stories. They draft up the data from the various parts of the business, and they bring them into this unpack session. The engineers come into the unpack session, and so does the QA also. And what we do is we unpack how we're actually going to solve this problem. There's a mud map that started from the product manager, and then the other guys just bring it all together. The ideas and the infectious problem solving and ideation that happens in those unpack sessions.
I love this. I want to use this.
Unpack. Take it, run with it, enjoy.
Yeah.
It is fabulous. And what it does is, I've never seen an area whereby we've had these people, products as well as engineers, that become curious, that actually share these ideas. And one day during a collaboration session, and it stands out, and it will probably stand out with me in my career for a very long time, I had this dedicated engineer where he was beavering away in the background trying to solve a particular problem. And he turns around and he pinged me on Teams and he said, "Can I demo something that I've actually created?" And I was like, "Sure, absolutely. You know I'm all about that." And his feedback to me was, "I've actually pulled together a solution code-wise that I can actually demo. And I got the idea from the unpack session that we were in." So that to me is, in essence, a fabulous way not only to ideate, bring people together, build trust, and more importantly, solve customer problems.
I love this. How practical. Thank you so much.
Pleasure, Val.